Thank you for the very detailed presentation. In Bulgaria, we have, at least for me, I can say, we have very positive experience with the previous Swiss contribution parts, SCOPS 1, SCOPS 2, and the other. And all the time it was quite easy to work with Swiss National Science Foundation because everything was quite clear. So I have some practical questions concerning this scheme. Several times you said that the consortium must contain at least one Swiss researcher. So I see some kind of contribution, contradiction. I will say what I mean in mind. So we have very strong collaboration with two different Swiss research groups from different universities, and they are very nicely could contribute to this joint project. So I suppose it's impossible for them to participate together, right? So,
So this works. So yes, if you have two Swiss partners you are normally working with in this call, it won't be possible to include them both in the proposal. Yes, no, you can only have one Swiss partner.
So it's impossible, right?
Yes.
Okay. So another question.
I stay here.
Yeah, last one. As I understand, we can have paid postdocs and PhD students from the Bulgarian budget, right? Is it obligatory these people to be Bulgarian, or we can invite people from abroad for these positions? No limitations?
No.
Okay, that's fine.
The main aim of this type of projects is internationalizations and attracting talents in eastern part of Europe.
Okay, and then really last question. If one of my Swiss partners came in Bulgaria for, let's say, visit or for exchange, so this money are coming from which budget? From Bulgarian, or because all this has to be planned somehow in the budget, right?
This is a matter of budgeting. It depends on the team. You decide what part of the budget is going to what kind of expenditures.
Yeah, I understand that, but
you're planning.
Okay, so I can say that for Bulgarian budget, I can pay the people from Switzerland to come for exchange.
It is an option. Yeah,
Okay.
it is an option.
So there is
possible.
not some limitation in this system.
No, the budget is total budget coming from 85% from the Swiss part and 15% from Bulgarian co-funding budget. It is a matter of planning, not is in restricted, in fact.
So from our perspective as well, it is, you can decide how to do this, whatever suits you best. Salaries are higher in Switzerland, so probably you have more money left over on the Bulgarian budget. I would say try out how it comes out and then use the budget where there's more money left over.
I would like to ask you, before asking your questions, to introduce yourself and your organization as well.
Okay, my name is Ivan Pchvarov. I'm from Sofia University Physics Department. Thank you, first of all, for the opportunity. And everything is well written, but anyway, there is some, let's say, a little bit not clear about the partners because you mentioned that it's clear that we need 3 participants at least from the country already explained, like 5 major countries that receive a budget. But the key question is about what about the 20% of the budget that is a little bit free from Swiss partner, because it's written in the documentation that they can spend 20% to the third party. What is the requirements and restriction for this party? Can be some party from another country, from Swiss, because the gentleman that asking, perhaps he can use this 20%, for example. Or can we use some partner from Australia, or this should be in Europe? This is I'll be happy to clarify. Or if you need a partner from European Union, but it's not from these 5 countries. Is it possible if the Swiss part is agreed to participate in their part with this 20% budget?
So the project partners that can only be put on the Swiss budget, I said it during the presentation, this can really be researchers from all over the world. It can be Australians, it can be Swedes, whatever suits you, but they cannot be from one of the countries that is in the call already, so another country. But it's really very free. It can even be, NGOs or institutions that are somehow connected to research, but if it's not a university or sort of a standard academic partner, they might need to sign a document stating that they won't use the results commercially. But when it comes to the project partners, there's really a lot of freedom to include additional expertise that might be necessary for the project.
Good morning, Yana Kirillova, Institute of Economic Research, Bulgarian Academy of Sciences. I would like to ask the following question. You speak about eligibility of institutions and eligibility of researchers. Could you please clarify who is actually applying, the institution or a physical researcher? And if it is the institution, then the people, the researchers should respond to these criteria.
So the applicants really are the researchers themselves and not the institutions, but they nevertheless need to come from an eligible institution. So for example, in this call, they really cannot be from any commercially operating enterprise. In some other calls that we have had, this is possible, but here it really needs to be research and public research and not for profit. Does this answer the question?
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you.
Hello. Hello, Gergana Gerova from Sofia University. I have a question regarding the success rate. You said that there were, you have the first contribution. Can you elaborate on your experience so far and what is the expected success rate for this call?
It's a bit difficult to say something that will be useful for you because this call now really works differently than the call in the first contribution. In the first Swiss contribution, there was a bilateral program between Bulgaria and Switzerland, so only Swiss researchers and one Bulgarian partner. Here, it's more complicated because so many partners are involved. Janita can probably say something about the success rate in the first contribution, but yes, that won't necessarily say anything regarding this call. From our experience that we have until now, there really is a lot of interest. We have no idea how many projects will be submitted in the end because it's sort of complicated to get the consortia together. So you really need the 3 partners and they need to work together. So some people who are interested now might not submit the proposal in the end, but it will be competitive.
Okay.
So in the first Swiss contribution go to Bulgaria, and this bilateral research program funded then received 64, as far as I remember, 64 project applications, and 12 were funded. So this is, let's calculate
All right.
20% on the
Okay, and
success rate.
there is no chance that, you know, it's 10, between 10 and 20 or 5 or 1.
Hopefully it won't be too low, but if I say anything now, everyone will always be disappointed because we really don't know what's going to happen. But yes, do look at the funds that are there for Bulgaria. They will be spent on Bulgaria and
Point. Now, it's a competition because we want excellence. So there is an element of risk involved which cannot be known in advance. The unfortunate but true.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Hello, Rosita Yaneva from the National Center for Polar Studies. I would like to know if NGOs are eligible to take part in these maps as subcontractor organizations, or what kind of collaboration could happen with NGOs?
so subcontracting will always be possible. You could probably be a project partner on the Swiss side of the project and probably to the Bulgarian colleagues regarding the national eligibility.
So the eligible organizations, the affiliations, are the one listed in the Higher Education Act, which means the organizations need to have to be accredited to for PhD programs. The only one that have this. Okay, we have an example. There is a plant assist institute who is accredited, which is accredited to for PhD programs. This is a kind of NGO, but this is the only one example.
Thank you. Thank you for the presentation. Ekaterina Bachvarova from an institute from Bulgarian Academy of Sciences. I didn't understand when you answered 2 questions before. Can the funding go to private account to the person, or has to be going to the institutional bank account?
So the SNSF always gives the money to the account at the institution. So the researchers have a personal account at their institutions. The money is never given to the personal account of a researcher. And I think in Bulgaria, it's the same, right?
Yes, so person can apply, but has to be affiliated somewhere in an eligible institution, and the funding goes to the institution.
Hello.
Okay. Thank you very much. My name is Donna Pickard from the Institute of Philosophy and Sociology at the Bulgarian Academy of Sciences. Just a follow-up question from a couple of those concerning the teams. So I'm a bit confused about, right, the applicant is a natural person. I suppose they can work with a team within their institution, and they can also, can we have, for example, 2 institutions from Bulgaria, apart from all the other partners? That's my first question. So can we have, for example, 2 institutes from Bulgaria, although one applicant is applying. My second question concerns, because you said that the applicant should have the right to supervise PhD students. In Bulgaria, if I understand correctly, these are associate professors. So an assistant professor like me cannot be an applicant, but maybe I can work with an associate professor and they can submit the application. But so my main question is, can we have two participants from Bulgaria, two institutions, apart from the other partners from Switzerland and another EU member state? Thank you.
So we discussed this yesterday. From our perspective, legally speaking, from the SNSF, there will only be one applicant. This will be the person officially included in the consortium, and this is the person whose CV will be evaluated, because obviously the team might be bigger, there might be experienced postdocs, etc., who are important to the project, but their CVs will not be evaluated. So we discussed that it would be possible to include different institutions in Bulgaria. This is just something that wouldn't show up in the sort of technical and legal structure of my SNSF and of the SNSF. So there would need to be some grant agreement between the main applicant and other people involved in the project that would have to be concluded on the Bulgarian level after the project is funded.
Hello? Yeah. Thank you for all the information. I'm Nicola Constantinov from Insight, and my question is about the 4-year PhD rule. So is this until the application deadline or until the beginning of the project?
For the application deadline.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Stoyanka Cherkezova, Institute for Population and Human Studies, Bulgarian Academy of Sciences. I have 2 or 3 questions. First question, should the team be announced in the application preliminary? I mean, we should say that we will have 2 PhD students, or we should name their names.
Especially for the PhD students, you do not need to name them. It would also be completely possible to not even know at the time of submission and then have people submit applications for the posts. If you have more experienced postdocs where it is already clear this person will be important for the project because this person has a specific expertise that makes sense for the scientific part of the project, it would be advisable to already name them. So bottom line, if you have them, name them, but if you don't have them, you don't have to name them.
Okay, thank you. Another question, you have said daily middle exchange rate. So my question is, when we are planning, of course, it should be the day of application, I guess, or when we are reporting the day of payment, receivement, or the day of spending, I don't know which kind of daily middle exchange rate.
So you will need to use the one on the day or shortly before you submit. That would be the one you put in the budget. And then the financing structure works like that. The money is disbursed to the institutional accounts of the researchers in yearly installments. And if there would be there is sort of a certain risk if there is a large change in the relation of the different currencies. Sorry, vocabulary blackout. This cannot be. It's like that, but if there's really a huge economic shock, we would be able to find a solution, but there is a sort of a risk regarding to the.
So we should report on the daily middle exchange rate during the planning period of the project. Okay, thank you. And third question, but probably it's for the Bulgarian team. I have read in Annex 2 from the call of proposals that we can choose honoraria between our salaries or Vihren program. Are there any conditions to choose Vihren program, or it's free?
No, if the salaries in the Vihren program are more beneficial for you,
okay,
you can choose them.
Thank you.
But if your institutions gives higher salaries,
okay, thank you.
Hello, Palankovsky, Bulgarian Academy of Sciences. I have 3 questions, 2 of them rather short. I start with easiest. If Hungary is participating, do they need to submit via their national system?
Hungary, did you say?
Hungary was not mentioned.
No,
Romania must submit, Hungary.
Romania and Croatia, but all the rest
No.
only through MES.
Okay, you mentioned we must go for the maximum funding. Why that?
You don't have to, but you will always have to pay in a 3-person budget. The amount for the Swiss researcher will always be divided by 2. So if sort of to get more money to Bulgaria, it would be advantageous to go to the maximum. But if it doesn't make sense for your project, you don't have to. You don't have to legally.
Then you mentioned the Swiss partner cannot, PI cannot pay salary. In our case, this is university professor, so it's paid from university, but in their budget, they can include other Swiss scientists, right?
So from the Swiss perspective, the researchers who are eligible for a call like this, they have their own position. They are paid by the university, so they don't need the salary. But in the Swiss budget, there can be PhD students, postdocs, or also other research staff, and different kinds of people can be included in that manner.
In our particular case is that there is Ukrainian professor from Kharkov who works the last 2 years in Switzerland on our topic. He can be hired either from here or from Switzerland, right?
I think that it would be possible to hire this person as a sort of senior researcher on the Swiss budget, but please let's discuss this question in more detail, probably with the CV of the person, because I don't want to tell you anything wrong. But in the Bulgarian budget, if the person would need an affiliation either in Switzerland or in Bulgaria, and if that's possible, he could be
currently
included.
employed at the Swiss University,
Yes,
in the same group. Can he continue on this project in Switzerland?
Could you send me an email, please?
Yeah. And one last question about eligibility. You talked about excellence. I have the excellence in my CV, but I'm since 1 year in Bulgaria only, and I still don't have the professor position or associate professor position. But I was already professor in Finland. Can I apply with my current CV, or am I limited because I'm waiting or in procedure, which didn't start?
Unfortunately, under the legislation we accepted, you are not eligible.
Even if the
SPI as a staff member, you are eligible.
Because say my CV is much stronger than a replacement
I
person.
understand, but
say our directive or something.
these are the accepted rules already.
What if the procedure is running? Associate professor procedure, and in my CV it states that I was 5 years professor in Finland.
You are not eligible as a principal investigator, unfortunately.
Okay, thank you.
Maxim Stamenov Institute for Bulgarian Language, Bulgarian Academy of Sciences. I have a question relating to the status of applicants. They must be physical persons, in other words, but what sort of affiliation they must hold with the institution? Because I understand that they must work at this institution during the whole duration of the project. Still, the status may be different. Are they supposed to be on a permanent tenure track the whole time? That's probably a question that's related to the Bulgarian side, not to the Swiss side. Because there are permanent tenure, there are persons who are on contract, which is not unlimited in its continuation.
Because your question is a little bit legal matter, could you please send it by email and we will contact our financial and legal experts to ask them.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for this event. My name is Svetlana Panchelieva, and I'm coming from the Institute for Population and Human Studies at the Bulgarian Academy of Sciences. I have a question regarding the team composition. You mentioned that one PI can be PI for only one project. How about the team members? Can we have team members from one project replicating them in another project? Thank you.
For the team members, it is possible to participate in more than one project. The requirement for one project is valid only for the PI.
Okay, at least it gives me the opportunity to present myself, Ludmila Antonov from the Institute of Electronics, Bulgarian Academy of Science. So I have a question about team composition once again. So we have very clearly defined the rules for the principal investigator. Is the same rules are extended to the other members of the team? Because in Bulgaria, the situation is much more different from Switzerland. So we have large number of people that are on permanent positions at the universities, but many of them at the institutions, but many of them do not have rights to supervise, for instance, the PhD students. So the question is, this is requirements only for the principal investigator, or these requirements are spread over all members of the team?
Only for the principal investigator. All these requirements are valid for the principal investigator.
Okay, great, thank you.
There is questions online. Could you please?
Professor Todorova from Plovdiv University asked, how could we find partners or to see all research domains? In Romanian platform, the research domains are very limited.
So it's true that the research domains on the matching platform are a bit superficial, let's say that in that way, I would advise you to take the overall research domain that is closest to what you're actually doing, and then really go through the list and see. I mean, you can easily find the CVs of the researchers online. It's a bit of extra work, but it should be possible to identify those researchers that could be interesting partners for you.
May I ask a follow-up question? Do I have to go to this platform, or is this just something offered, but I can, of course, connect to people otherwise?
No, it's only it's an additional help if researchers are looking for partners, but you can, of course, simply go through the established networks. You can also just look at the Swiss universities online, see, you probably know some Swiss researchers or researchers in the participating countries that you met at conferences or something. So you can contact them in any manner that suits you, and the matching platform is just an additional service that might be useful.
Is this the only one question? Any other?
Yes, thank you again.
Yes, there's one more.
So can you give us a little bit of a heads up on what is preferred? Do you, if that's allowed, of course, would you rather new partnerships or already established ones? Because for example, I have quite a few options. And with some partners from Poland, from Hungary, from Romania and Switzerland, we've been working with for quite a long time. And then we have prospective partners as well. So if it is okay, could you share what you think is advisable to choose? Thank you.
Nothing is preferred by the SNSF. It depends a bit on the nature of the project and of the collaboration. If you have already successfully worked with one of the partners, this might show the evaluation panel that the collaboration is very feasible. But if you have a new partner and you can show that your profiles really match ideally, that's also possible. It's really up to you.
There's one more question online. Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, we hear you.
From the University Hospital of Bern. I have one question regarding the international partners. As I understand, the budgetary restrictions of one country can hold the whole project. For instance, if we have partners from Poland, and we would have otherwise received the grant, but the Polish agency doesn't have any funding left. The whole project can't be funded by the Swiss National Science Foundation. Is this right? And if this is so, is there a possibility to drop a partner abroad and look for some additional funding from, let's say, private foundations for them?
So this really is the risk. I tried to explain this during the presentation. It might be the case that one partner runs out of funds, and this then indeed means that the whole project cannot be funded, because at this stage it will not be possible to exchange the partner with another one, because the project has been evaluated in this combination. So yes, that's really the problem.
And would there be an option to drop this partner, not to exchange it?
No, unfortunately not.
All right, thanks.
May I ask one question regarding the webinar? It was really very difficult to connect on this webinar, and it was said that we are going to receive a recording of this webinar. I've looked on your website, there are only the slides. Is this still the plan, to have the recording from the webinar?
The recording will be put on the website as soon as the SNSF IT manages to do so. But really, if you heard the presentation today, this presentation was even more, there was even more information. So the webinar, I think in the webinar, there wasn't anything that wasn't said today. So you should, through your participation today, have all the relevant information. And Zornica, I think you will put the recording of this
Yes, there
meeting
will be
online?
recording published on the website of the ministry.
Thank you. You know, for me, it was fine to hear this presentation, but for our Swiss partners, they were really worried on several things which you already mentioned for, you know, topics and things. So, you know, from their side, it will be really interesting. Thank you.
Really sorry, there was a huge technical problem with the webinar we did last week, but it will be put online, and in the end, hopefully, everyone will get the necessary information.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions? So before the close the event, I would like to thank you for your active participation today, and would like to give the floor to Professor Stauffer.
Thank you. I forgot something in the beginning. I just would like to acknowledge also the presence of the colleagues from the Ministry of Finance. You may not believe it, but we know it, and the colleagues from the Ministry of Education Science also know it. Nothing would be happening without their support. Thank you.